So what are some of the ways that you stay positive?
So it's kind of funny because I just recently been enlightened to, there's, you have, in order to be grateful, you have to practice gratitude. And so you can't just think, think, be thankful that your wife made you dinner, or think that she looks pretty, but you don't say thank you. You don't say that you look pretty. And same thing at work. You could be happy with, your employee's work, or you could be thankful that they did, put in some extra effort. But if you don't actually tell them that, they don't actually know that you're thankful. And so for me, just kind of openly and actively practicing gratitude, and trying to, it's hard for me because that's not my natural tendency. I'm kind of like, kind of keep to myself, and not like to share feelings, but they've come around to the fact that you have to do that openly. So for me, that's been the biggest, I'd say, change in my life, is going through and just looking around me, being appreciative for what I have, and expressing that to people openly.
I think that's really important for salespeople to hear because one, you can look at it one of two ways. You can look at it as, I have to talk to people every day and overcome the, possible rejection, or like the need for their approval, all of these kinds of things that sort of torment us in sales, that makes sales a hard job. But on the other side of that coin is I get to talk to people every day who can share cool things that I can interact with. I can have that kind of a connection. I can decide what to do with my time and get the direct effort from that. I love what you said too, though, about actually, we all think of things that we're grateful for, but how do we actually practice that in gratitude? Whether it's you saying it to someone, or saying it out loud, or writing it in a journal, or sending thank you notes. I think practicing gratitude is such an important thing for us to maintain that positive attitude that we so desperately need in sales to be successful day in, day out. And I think it's something that doesn't get talked about very much either in sales, that we talk about overcoming the fear of rejection, but we don't really talk about how can we do that. And I
Yeah,
think
and I
ways.
think a lot of people complain, or whine about different things, and it just becomes it's kind of like a toxic attitude. And you mentioned that, you're kind of the combination of the five people you hang around with, the most. And if there's one toxic person in that, just by proximity, because they're on your team at work, or they're constantly complaining about they haven't made the sale, or these leads suck, or whatever that is just not a healthy environment, and you should remove yourself from that environment as quickly as possible. So yeah, I mean, I think just it's easy to kind of look at, well, woe's me. But if you think about it, there's usually, you're not controlling the scenario. I mean, I don't know how many cold call or cold emails to me saying like how they can increase our revenue and this and that. And we're in a weird, fortunate situation where we don't want more revenue. We are so at capacity. We want more profit. We want more inventory. We want more space to hold our inventory. And so just blindly coming in and promising that we can have more revenue doesn't do me any good. And so, I mean, I reject people all the time, or I just ignore them, or what have you.
We all
But
do.
yeah, and so I would say that, if somebody kind of took the approach that, to get to know the person, or somehow get an in, to at least start the conversation, be grateful that somebody is giving you the opportunity to start the conversation. Once you start the conversation, understand what their world is, and if you can't help them, that's okay. Be thankful that you learned something, and move on to the next one, instead of, these leads suck, or whatever the excuse is.
Yeah, recently had a conversation with a colleague of mine, and we talked about a case of the shoulds. I should have this, I should have that, I should be this, I should be doing that. And it is very counterproductive to actually getting anywhere, because you're
Yeah.
always comparing yourself to something that you're not. And
Yep.
while it's good to know where you want to improve, it's detrimental to actually being able to take those steps, because you're just beating yourself up for no reason whatsoever, and it's out of context.
Absolutely. Seth Godin wrote about this yesterday morning, I think.
Yeah.
And having a surplus, operating in a surplus. And if you're always trying to compare yourself to the next salesperson, to the next company, to your competitors, whoever it may be, you're always going to be chasing this something out of anxiety, versus giving yourself a little bit of breathing room, a little bit of space or slack, and then trying to innovate, trying to come up with, something that is going to be a little bit more positive impact for your future, instead of trying to chase something that may or may not be realistic for you.
Yeah. It's the reason why I put so much emphasis on doing personally meaningful goals for salespeople and having their personal goals aligned to their professional goals, because instead of I should be this, it's what do I actually want for my life? What do I actually want it to look like? And it's not I should be something that I'm seeing. It's what do I see that is for me and my family and, my best sense.